When I first started playing Star Citizen, the idea of cargo containers trading wasn't too high on my list of interests. Observing its growth, it of course has piqued my interest, and so for plenty of other players as well. When I first started, there were many cases where having cargo on your ship visually meant actually nothing. At best case, there were some container boxes you could see, and in plenty of these scenarios, you could even walk through these container boxes that were filling your ship. There was no interacting with them, there was no moving them around with tractor beams, and there were no other containers than the one SCU containers. Mostly there was just trade between different terminals and ships you would use to fly between them, which would dictate how much cargo you would have. Of course, you needed big ships for good and big trades, but looking back, there was no such thing as really picking the cargo off of a destroyed ship. There was no such thing as soft death, so you could pick up the left behind cargo. There was no tractor beam when I started even. And seeing this cargo progression, its growth, the cargo grids, the containers, and all of these items which we can now interact with, store at our cargo areas of our ships, it is all very comforting. It has all come a really long way. And so the next big step or a piece we are gonna get are gonna be the personal hangars. Of course, it's gonna have its own cargo elevator and trade terminals and other terminals for that matter. But it all plays a really big part of the growth of the game. Perhaps many don't care about it, but it's a big part of the world we have. It's a big part of freedom. We can take weapons, rockets, parts, modules of other ships, store them at our cargo bay. And of course there are going to be even more improvements to the cargo grids, allowing us to attach smaller components and items to containers to cargo areas, which will allow us a more stable positioning of items we wish to procure, store or transport. Because there are actually three sorts of main gameplay in this game. The first person, all the combat and other types of interactions in it. We can take mining, we can take some even box transport of sorts. Then there is the ship part, the transport part of the ship, of course, which can have very simple aspects, just picking up things and delivering boxes or delivering cargo. Then there can be ship combat, which is a whole nother big part itself. And eventually, most of the action interaction is gonna be based off, what your ship is carrying. May it be combat, may it be first person actions, even if it's just moving cargo or doing combat to procure the cargo in first person or ship combat. Eventually, you're still gonna end up with a transport, and so it all needs to play together really well. Of course, you can ignore those aspects which you don't want to deal with, like trading or bounty hunting, and just do first-person combat. These three aspects, the first-person, ship combat, and transport, are gonna be the main core elements which we are gonna see no matter what we do. It does not mean we need to partake in them. It just means like when you're doing bunker missions, you're gonna end up storing items on your ship. When you're gonna be flying your ship doing transport, you might encounter combat scenarios. There are different types of encounters you can have, from simple NPCs just blocking your way to other players coming after you, pirates trying to steal from you, or just some other players chasing a bounty or are doing hostile activity and just thinking about taking you on. So all the progress we have seen thus far, and there's plenty more to come with different types of boxes, different criteria for some of these containers, different requirements and different dangers for some of these containers which we may be transporting in the future. And if it expands into a dynamic economy, dynamic world, it will grow even bigger, with actually transport and cargo being the core element of the game. This dynamic world, still being years away, still gives us some hope throughout the progress we have seen over the past 10 years or so. From a shallow husk of trading into a pretty dynamic experience considering what we have right now. And with all hope, it will progress into something beautiful. But I've been going on long enough. So as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.